Okay, so let's say you have an object and you like the way it's rendered, but you want to basically show off your geometry, so you want to create line work over the top of that. And in Blender, that's not as easy as it is in some other packages, but I kind of stumbled across a way that seems to be really fluid and gives some nice results. So I thought I'd share it. So I have a render here, and I'm going to go ahead and render out a frame and save it. I'm just going to save over one I've already got. And then I'm going to take this image and I want to get a wireframe on it. And I'm going to show the basic way first. So what you want to do is if you switch over to wireframe, and let's say I'm going to set this up the way it's going to be by default, you can go in here to view and you can say viewport render image. And what you're going to get is essentially what would be useless for what the purpose we're looking at here. And that is getting a wireframe that you can overlay. So you don't want to do that. And so there's two changes you want to make. First is shut off the transparent mode in the wireframe. Second would be to hide anything in the scene that you don't want to have the wireframe overlaid on. So in other words, if I didn't want it on the background, I can basically shut off the background object. And so now I have my object and it's overlaid on the scene. I'm going to shut off all of the extraneous gizmos on the screen. And if I do another render, I end up again with something that is a little more useful, but not what I want. The trick here is that what you want to do is go to your render panel in your film and set it to transparent. And if you again go and render this, you will get an image that has transparency of just your wireframe. So I'm going to save that as, I'll just save it over the top. Make sure you save it with a format that can support an alpha channel. And then I'm going to jump into Photoshop. Then we're going to open up the images that we want. Those are the two images. I'm going to open them both up. Here's my render. Here's my wireframe. I'm going to hit Control A, Control C to copy to the clipboard. I'm going to jump over here, hit Control Shift V to copy in place or to paste in relative location. And there you go. You have a wireframe overlaying on your object. And you can change the blend mode to say divide. If you want to have white wireframe, you can control the opacity of it. And this works with animations as well. You can do you can output basically viewport render animation, and you can output an animation of your wireframe pieces. Now, that's the basics. So there's some other things you can do. One of them is that if on an object you have a color assigned, so if you go to you pick an object and you go to the object properties, and under viewport display you can give it a color, and if under your viewport shading options you select object, you can get color on your objects. So in this case I've got a purple assigned here and a green assigned here. And the same thing would happen here if I output viewport render image and I save that image. And again, you need something that supports an alpha, and we'll call this wire. And I'll jump into Photoshop, open up wire, Control A, Control C, Control Shift V. And there you go with some kind of cool colors overlaid on it. And since it's color, you can do all kinds of weird stuff like set it to add. And anyway, some really kind of cool results. And also, if, for example, you're rendering really large images and you're going to end up shrinking them down and you're afraid you're going to lose your line width, then in that case, what you want to do is go into your preferences and go to your interface, and on line width, choose thick. And again, I'll do a viewport render, which is basically instantaneous. Image, save as. I'll just save it over the other one. Jump back into Photoshop. Close this image because, well, I should have just reverted it, but open it. And that gave me a black background for some reason. Not sure why. Oh, because I did not save it with an alpha channel. So hit F11 to open up the panel again, image, save as. You gotta make sure you have the RGBA picked. I actually like making mistakes in these because sometimes you're doing it and you're going, hey, what the heck's going on? And again, open up wire. Let's revert. It's not gonna let me. All right, fine. And again, Control A, Control C. Jump back over to the main image, Control V. Oop, I'm not going to do that. Control Shift V so that it puts it in the relative position that you need it. In this case, the add mode starts to look pretty cool. Anyway, that's kind of a quick way to do some relatively nice wireframe overlays. And I hope you find that useful.